All right. So today is January 16th, 2026. My first trade recap in a very long time, actually. Um, I've been recording some, just haven't really felt that they're postable because I've been messing around with a webcam. Some have been without a webcam, some the video I thought it would be with a webcam because I tried recording on my phone. Didn't work. Editing, not an editor. Could figure it out, not worth my time though. So for now, my laptop would have to do just because my actual webcam is broken. Um, which I'm going to be getting a new one in soon. But that's besides the point. Just to start off, today is a winning day, very heavy winning day, actually. Let's go on to the Express right here. We are up 646 on one Express and 502 on a Alpha Qualified and 999, pretty much 1,000 on a Top Step Combine. Okay, so let's get into the trade, right? Coming into market open, right? We're looking at levels here, looking at session highs, session lows. What's the bias for today, right? So right here, as we can see, we have some buy side draws on liquidity, some well, the 4 hour is actually not showing us too much besides this 4 hour bullish fair value gap right over here from, when is this? January 14th. Same thing on ES, 4 hours isn't really showing us much besides a bullish 4 hour gap, some liquidity down here, and some buy side liquidity up top. But once we start getting into the 1 hour, then it becomes a little better, right? So we see London highs right here, and we have them both on NQ and ES. Okay. We actually, what is this? Is this technically? No, it is not an SMT. But as we can see, we swept out London highs on NQ, not on ES. Again, I would not consider this a valid SMT just because we hadn't closed. Now, officially, it is a valid SMT because this hourly candle has closed. But at the time of me taking my trades, it was not a valid SMT. So now that we got our timeframes mapped out, looking at our bias for today, we have a unfilled, or actually two unfilled 4 hour gaps on both ES and NQ, one each, sorry. And we have some draws on liquidity right over here. Sell side draws from Asia, some Asia lows on both NQ and ES. Okay. Initially, my bias wasn't too strong for the day. I did want to see these gaps get filled in a little more than what they already were. I actually have these mapped out wrong. There you go. That's a little better. As we can see, we're kind of tapped into, kind of filled. Oh, wait. What am I doing? Those are 4 hour gaps. They were not filled at all, right? So fully open 4 hour gaps. So I knew price was going to inevitably go there, especially how close we were to them today. Now, again, my bias wasn't too strong initially. I didn't enter with many contracts today. And yeah, market opens. What do? We even pre-market, we sweep out this high right here on NQ. Okay, from there, after we sweep out this high, what was I looking for? A confluence to signify that we are entering a downtrend because we were bullish, especially on the 5 minute. on NQ and on ES, right? So after we took out those highs, I'm looking for something to tell me, hey, we're looking to go, where price is starting to become bullish. Seeing this, and also seeing that there is a 4-hour gap here that was not filled from, I don't even know from when this was, doesn't matter. I did want to be patient and wait for at least some kind of a confluence before I entered, right? And for me, that was actually this 1 minute gap right here getting invalidated, right, on NQ. Now, this is a 1 minute confluence, so I only entered in with one contract here. But the very good part about this was that I was able to have a very good risk to reward, right? Price was very unlikely after being right here to retrace all the way up to these highs. There was no reason for it to retrace up to those highs. Either we didn't have any high time frame gaps, we didn't have any even low time frame gaps, right? It was just very balanced out price action. So once we inverse this, and on top of that, let me show you guys. Let's say we're going from this high to where I entered. Equilibrium was pretty much within my stops. So if we wanted to retrace the equilibrium before we made the move, we had breathing room for that. So I entered one contract on NQ, and I actually entered a little bit more, a little heavier on ES, and that's because we have a tiny itty bitty 5-minute bullish gap that actually got invalidated. And I will show my entry here. There you go. As well as a 1 minute gap. Let's see, right here. One minute gap, 5-minute gap, both got inversed right before I entered on my ES trade. So I entered in a little heavier in terms of the contracts. Was able to have some decent stops, not only because price was, my entry was closer to this high right here. I had a better entry on this, but also because there was no reason for us to retrace any higher than that. We did go into drawdown a little bit here, and that was just to fill in equilibrium of this range right here. That was a complete 5-minute retracement, as we can see, right? We broke structure. We had a little bit of a 5-minute retrace into equilibrium, and we proceeded to dump down. So I entered a little heavier. Ooh, that was the wrong move. I entered a little heavier on ES. Okay. Initially, and after we had this retrace, and then also we inversed this gap right over here, this 1 minute. Let me show you. Right over here. I actually added in another contract on top of that. Okay. And from there, we let it ride. One thing with both accounts, the Express and the Qualified on Alpha Futures, I did move stops to break even as soon as we hit these lows right here. What are these? These are London lows, right? Yeah, these are London lows. As soon as we hit these London lows, stops went immediately to break even because I didn't know if they were strong or potential points of reversals. I couldn't even take partials on this trade because I only entered in with one contract on NQ on both accounts. The combine wasn't really too worried about, taking partials. I just want to maximize profits, high risk, high reward. But on the Express, I did not have that option. on NQ, we really didn't get a 5-minute retrace, so I didn't have an opportunity to add on to my position, which is unfortunate, but we took it all the way down. We did a little bit of retracing here on both NQ and ES, which for some it may be a little worrisome, but this is completely normal. Price will balance out here. I made sure, right, that if I was to move stops to break even, we would have no reason for us to retrace above our stop loss, which would be break even, and then proceed to come back down. So if my entry was potentially right here, okay, let's see. If my entry was right here, I would not move stops to break even. By no means, because why? We have 5-minute gap, we have a 5-minute gap right here. Both very possible points of retracements, which as we can see, in fact, did happen right over here. And again, looking at it, retrace, broke structure on the 1 minute, came into the 5-minute fair value gap. As soon as we started displacing lower, honestly, I could have added contracts right here. As soon as we broke structure, which is on this candle right here. Yes, on this candle right here. So I could have added some contracts, 1 or 2 contracts at this level, but that was it would have been pointless just because we were so close to TP, and stops would have had to be honestly still excuse me, way up top right here. But besides that, we were targeting, well, I wanted to be a little conservative. I didn't want to get faked out here. Initially, stops were at this 4-hour, but I was like, you know what? Let's put it slightly above this low, and definitely above this 4-hour, because hey, who knows, right? I was only going in with 1 contract. An extra 40 points would have barely made a difference. Same thing on ES. On ES, only reason I closed a little earlier is mainly due to the fact, so right here, okay, I originally had stop TP right down, no, at this gap as well, right? Then I moved it, so we started coming down and we started making this retrace, except on ES, I was a little more worried because we ended up, I guess technically this is an inversion of a 5-minute gap, right? Technically this is. Is it a weak one? Of course, but this is. So we come up and I was like, I don't know, man. I kept my stops fairly low again. And we came down, we took out this, what was it? Asia low? Not even. We took out this low right here. What kind of low was that? Was this Asia low? It was not an Asia low. Whatever. And yes, we did break structure to the downside, but after we took it out, I see some movement up, and I was like, you know what? Let me just take my profits. I was in with 4 contracts on this trade. I really didn't want to lose, or it was no reason for me to not secure my profits for this trade on ES, because this was my breadwinner for today on the Express account, right? This one, same trade, the same exact trade as the NQ trade on the Express. Full TP, no partials, no nothing. But yeah, that's about it for today's trading day. Big W's. I will definitely be uploading these journals more often, or daily, or at least at the bare minimum, every day that I do trade. I will try, no promises, for me to upload and record videos even on days I did not trade, just to kind of take a look at what price did, make some predictions, say what I could have done, analyze a little bit, but again, no promises on that. What I will try my absolute best to do, though, is to make this daily. On days I do take trades, the recaps. So, hope you guys enjoyed. And I will see you guys in the next one.